Durbania. I'm Durban, and last second decided to pull out the cell phone and do kind of a pre-thing going into Sully, because I don't know whether to classify this as a spoiler-free review or spoiler talk, because, like, literally this just happened in real life in 2009. Everybody lives. So this will be kind of fascinating. I have no idea, but so I was doing some catching up and reading an article about this, like, before coming in here. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the actual review, because I'm curious to compare the article I read to, you know, what they're going to portray in this movie. I have no idea what to expect from this movie. I mean, honestly, it looks like it's going to be slow. It looks like, it doesn't look like it's going to be boring. It looks like it's going to be intensity, but of a different kind. I mean, come on. It's Clint Eastwood directing, and he's awesome. And it's Tom Hanks starring, and he's awesome. It's just, how are they going to do this? I mean, the Hudson thing is that, and then, you know, he goes to the trial because of controversy. I'm just curious. So, I don't know. I have no idea what to expect out of this movie. So let's go find out.
Brace for impact.
Wow. So, to just address a few of the things I said before, where it's like, how are they going to do this? Because it was 208 seconds on this plane. And granted, it's an intense 208 seconds, but how are they going to make a movie out of this? That's Clint Eastwood for you. He made a movie out of it, and it was amazing. And then you got great performances from Tom Hanks and Aaron Eckhart. And then on top of that, the people playing the passengers, the people playing the flight attendants, like, every actor that was in this was, like, on point. You know, all the people doing the investigation and things like that, like, all of it. It all worked together, and it all flowed, and it told a really intense story, and it told it from a very interesting perspective. And I just like the way that Clint Eastwood told this story, the way he took it and he framed it, and he just, I mean, he did it with so much respect, and you could just feel that as you're watching the movie, as they're going through some of these hardships and things like that. Like I said earlier, I had no idea whether to call this a spoiler talk or spoiler-free review. I'm going to go with spoiler-free review because this happened 7 years ago. It's all in the news. There's nothing to spoil. That said, I'm gonna stay as surface as I can, but there's just a lot of really good stuff to go over in this, so I'll just start going over it real quick. I mean, just the way he structured it, the way Clint Eastwood structured this movie, and the way the story was told, I just thought that was so awesome. It opens, and the event has already happened. The miracle on the Hudson has happened, everybody survived, all that stuff. I mean, that is just the opening of the movie. And so then they go through 2 of those investigation meetings where the insurance company's doing their investigations to figure out what's happened, and, you know, was Engine 2 really completely shut down? We don't think so. And Sully's like, I was there. I felt it. It shut down. I saw the instruments. It was shut down. Anyway, so they go through 2 of these investigations before we really go back and see the whole story from Sully's eyes of what happened. So what I liked about that is going through 2 of these 2 investigative meetings, you have things like Aaron Eckhart in one of the scenes being like, okay, look, this step was step 15 by the rules. He did it as the first step by his instinct, and if he didn't do it that way, we'd all be dead. So then when it goes back to the first flashback and you're watching this take place, it was really intense, number 1. Number 2, I kind of knew what to look for now. So that was interesting the way it was done, the way they did 2 investigative meetings and talked to Sully and Aaron Eckhart and all that stuff, and then you go back to that first flashback, now you got things that you're looking for. And it kind of, for me, made it more intense, because I'm now looking for Sully to do this. I'm looking for this to happen. I'm looking for that to happen. And it's really, really intense. You know something else I never, ever thought about? You had those flight attendants in there and all that stuff, and the plane was starting to go down, and, you know, he gets on the horn, and he's like, brace for impact. And then the flight attendants, everybody gets down, the flight attendants are buckled in, and, like, in unison, almost like a song or a chant, the flight attendants are going, brace, 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 put your head between your legs. But it was just this constant, like, song. I feel like on the one hand, that would give me a lot of comfort, and on the other hand, I would have shivers up and down my spine. I mean, I had the shivers while I was watching that scene. When my mom and sister came out from Ohio to California to visit just a few weeks ago, their flight in Phoenix got canceled because of mechanical problems. And oh yes, we all complained. I'm watching this movie and I'm going, oh, better to be on the ground, wishing you were in the air, than in the air, wishing you were on the ground. And then the flight attendants, brace, brace, brace. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't stand it. It's just so scary. I mean, it was so intense. So, like, that stuff was done so well, and it just brought those things to my mind that I never thought about. One of the great things about Tom Hanks' performance, you can see what I didn't think about, but it's kind of obvious in retrospect that I didn't think about, the weight that would be on that actual captain's shoulders. Did I make the right decisions? Did I do everything right? I mean, come on, you got all these insurance guys and doing this investigation, telling you what you did was wrong. And, you know, he had 155 souls on that plane that he had to protect, and they all lived, and everybody was saying that, like his family and the co-pilot are like, come on, we are all alive because of the decisions you made. You're fine. You are a hero. But it was interesting to watch him question that, have those moments of self-doubt and things like that. Because, I mean, come on, put yourself in that position, man. That's crazy. And the way Tom Hanks played that out, it was just so good. One of the things I said going in that I was kind of curious about is, like, is this going to be slow? It was slow, but not. I mean, I know that probably doesn't make sense. It was slow in that, no, it's not a super action-heavy movie or anything like that. So, yeah, it was slow. And the movie felt longer than it was, but I don't mean that negatively. I was sucked in beginning to end, and it felt longer because it was really intense. The stuff that was going on was intense. And so that, I really enjoyed that whole aspect of it. And so one of the things that I thought was interesting was when we were driving up to the theater, I hadn't really read too much on, you know, the captain and things that happened, like, immediately following, you know, him landing, the water landing in the Hudson. How things like the flight simulations came to light, where in the flight simulators, even with those 2 engines down, they had enough juice to make it back to LaGuardia or one of the other airports that was nearby. And, you know, the captain's like, I couldn't do it. I had to go in the Hudson. And so what was interesting was, reading the article, they talked about how one of the things about those flight simulators is that the pilots in the flight simulators, they were given the conditions, they were told when the birds hit, turn around, go back to LaGuardia, turn around, go to the next airport or whatever. So they were acting immediately, and the human element wasn't there, the shock of, ah, we just got hit by birds. The engines are down. Okay, gotta think, okay, let's do this, let's do that. So that the whole human element was taken out, and it was like basically these pilots playing video games. So that was something that was brought out in the article, and then seeing that in the movie was really cool, and in fact, it was one of the more intense parts of the movie. And so the way they portrayed that in the movie, it was just really well done. So really, Clint Eastwood did a masterful job directing this movie. The whole cast, Tom Hanks, Aaron Eckhart, like those were the 2 main guys, but everybody in this movie did a great job. I mean, I was really into this movie. At no point was I taken out of it or anything like that. I just thought, I mean, it's incredible enough that this is a true story, but how they told this story in this movie, I just thought they did a really great job. So I'm going to give Sully 4 out of 5 stars. I just really enjoyed the experience there in the theater. I was just really into it. It was just, I thought it was a good movie. If you saw Sully, how many stars would you give it? Make sure to let me know in the comments. While you're there, hit that subscribe button. Be on top of all the new videos coming out here on Durbania. I'm Durbin. Thank you so much for checking out Durbania.